It's time again for the Science Bowl.
Zoo Parade for 5. What big teeth the hippo has are actually a pair of these. Science Potpourri for 10. Would a snake most likely eat every day? Every week, Dateline Science for 10. Why are some elephants wearing necklaces these days? Green things for 15.
And now, here's your host, Mr. Z himself, Dave Zarin.
Thank you, and welcome to the Science Bowl, the science literacy program here in the Prince George's schools. And yes, we hope you add a few points to your science IQ by watching these talented young people here today. This is our 36th year of competition, and we've altered the format a bit because we're in the studio and all the students are in the school because of the pandemic. No buzzers here, but 50 points just for showing up and looking as good as they do. Our 6 categories that we've had in all 36 years: Green Things, Zoo Parade, Body Systems, Let's Get Physical, Science Potpourri, and Dateline Science. We have kept those, and each team will get 18 questions, different questions of comparable difficulty, and the team that comes out ahead at the end will go on to this year's semifinals. Let's get started. Both of today's teams have won once previously, so this is a playoff match. Let's meet the first of our 2 teams, and they hail from Charles Carroll Middle School. Would you please say hello to their captain, Kevin? Kevin, would you wave to everybody, please? Nice to have you back, Kevin. Great player there. And joined by Jason. Hey, Jason, another 8th grader. Nice to have you back also. And new to the team and also about to prove that he too is a great player is Omar. Omar, welcome to the show. All right, if you are ready, teams, let's get to the Green Things questions. Green Things, we have a 5, a 15, and a 25-point question. They get increasingly more difficult. Here is that 5-point question in Green Things. While dogs can smell better than we do, we humans can see the color green, which they can't, and we are better at smelling fruit in this condition, which is perfect and ready to eat.
What do you got? Ripe.
Yes, we can detect ripe fruit. Bowser, not so well. That's not one of his talents. Let's go to the 15-point question in Green Things, and it is a visual question. Have a look, gentlemen. A fish tank is an aquarium. A miniature habitat for animals is a terrarium. While a collection of dead plants pressed onto pages, as you see here, is known by what H initialed name?
What do you guys think?
Herbarium?
Herbarium?
Herbs?
Herbarium?
You could guess it.
Herbarium?
It is herbarium, indeed. Good answer. Wonderful. 25-point question in that same Green Things category. In 1994, gentlemen, scientists created what they called the flavor saver tomato by turning off one of these that normally created a protein that made tomatoes go squishy. They turned off one of these in the creation of the flavor saver tomato.
What do you guys think?
I think it's chromosomes.
Chromosomes?
Right.
Chromosomes.
Tell me a little more.
Tell me a little more.
Not quite that. I need something more specific.
Something more specific here.
DNA?
DNA?
DNA I will take, or gene. Absolutely right. Good. Let's go to the zoo for 5 points. Fishermen are now using excluder devices on their nets to let these threatened oceanic reptiles who travel with their own mobile homes escape if they're caught.
Crabs?
Can you repeat the question?
I certainly can. Fishermen are now using something called excluder devices on their nets to let these threatened ocean dwellers, reptiles that live in the ocean who travel with their own mobile homes, to escape from the net in case they're caught.
I think it is.
Turtles, because they have their shell.
Yeah.
Turtles.
No, was it? Yeah, I think turtles are. Yeah.
Turtles.
It is turtles, absolutely right. The green sea turtle, and a lot of them are bycatch. A lot of times they're pulled in and they die inside those nets. So now with the excluder devices, they can get out. Nice answer, guys. Zoo parade for 15 points. One coding language has what same name as one of the world's largest constricting snakes?
Python?
Yes.
Python.
Python is right. All right, let's finish that category for 25 points in zoo. Riding aboard the International Space Station recently was the first ever of these 10 tentacled cephalopods that are served in restaurants as calamari and can famously eject ink to escape predators. Careful.
All right, so squid can inject ink,
Yeah,
right?
squid can eject.
Yeah.
It's also tentacles. Yeah.
Okay, squid.
It is squid, absolutely right. Not to be confused with the octopus, which is octo, has 8 tentacles. Nicely done. I liked how you parsed that. Body systems, last 3 questions before we take our first break. For 5 points in body systems, while scraping your knee is never a good thing, and it hurts, purposely scraping this fleshy organ can cut down on bad breath.
This organ, right? So cut down on bad breath.
I think it's the tongue.
Tongue, because the tongue has most of the
Yeah,
bacteria
you brush
with
your tongue.
the tongue.
The tongue, that's right. They sell tongue scrapers, and indeed they do work. Let's go to body systems for 15 points. It is a multiple choice question. The wall that divides your heart's ventricles from each other, right from left, has the same S initialed name as the dividing wall between the 2 sides of your nostrils and the chambers inside a green pepper. Is that S initial divider known as the septum, the sepsis, or the sepal?
It's not sep.
It's definitely not sepsis.
Yes. Okay. Can you repeat the choices?
I certainly can. This dividing wall, this S initial dividing wall that separates ventricles in your heart and the chambers in a green pepper and the 2 sides of your nostrils, is it known as a septum, a sepsis, or a sepal?
I think it's sepal. Yeah, I think it's sepal.
Sepal.
Ooh, the sepal is actually underneath the petals on a flower. It is known as the septum, a deviated septum. You might have heard of that. Sometimes that is an issue when people have difficulty breathing. Last question in the first round, 25 points body. On days when the air quality is poor, breathing becomes difficult for people with bronchitis, emphysema, and this A initialed condition.
Asthma.
Asthma.
I usually have
Yeah.
asthma.
Asthma.
You got it, asthma for 25 points. Good round, guys. 170 is the score for you at the end of the first round. Nicely done, Charles Carroll. We'll see you guys again in a couple of moments. Great work. It is now time to meet the team from Samuel Ogle Middle School. They have won their first game already, and yes, they are competing today to move on to the semifinals. Let's meet the team. First of all, Chavoy is the captain. Give us a nice wave, Chavoy. People at home want to know who you are. Terrific player. Joining him, another great player is Alonzo. Hey, Alonzo. Nice to have you back. And Kirik down there in the lower right-hand corner. Kirik, nice to have you here as well. Very impressive. You're surrounded by all those books back there. We have no doubt of your academic credentials there. All right, gentlemen, let's get to the green things questions. I have a 5, a 15, and a 25-point question for you. Here is that first green things question. While an SUV is a sport utility vehicle, an SAV is a plant that grows beneath the surface of the water. Like duckweed and hydrilla, SAV stands for submerged, aquatic, what?
Vegetation.
It is vegetation, absolutely right. Good answer, good way to start. For 15 points in green things, I have a visual question for you. Look at the screen, if you would, Samuel Ogle. A well-known book years ago called A Tree Grows in Brooklyn was actually this tree, in quotes, the tree of heaven, which, since it grows on abandoned lots and is a nuisance plant, it is actually one of these that people pull to get rid of.
Weeds.
Say it again.
Weeds.
A weed. It is indeed a weed. It is a fast-growing weed, and it requires no fertilization. It can grow up through concrete, in fact. It is that tough. Let's go to the 25-point question in green things. The paper that is used for newspapers is mostly made from the wood pulp from these C, as in cat, these C initial kinds of trees like firs and pines and spruce.
Cedar.
Not cedar, good try. We're looking for coniferous trees. Those are all conifers. They are all cone-bearing trees. Let's go to the zoo. Sparrows, for 5 points. Pigeons and other birds that do not move much from where they live are considered sedentary, as opposed to those who fly south for the winter, which are considered what?
Migratory.
Migratory, that's right. They're migrating south for the winter. For 15 points, an interesting question showing that Mother Nature wastes nothing. When a crayfish molts, it will eat this outer covering, known as what? Because it contains numerous calcium and phosphorus minerals.
Exoskeleton.
An exoskeleton, absolutely right. Why waste all of those nutrients when you can re-ingest them? Good answer. 25 points in the zoo. It's been discovered that injured alligators rarely suffer infected wounds. Turns out their leukocytes, otherwise known as these, contain antibodies that can fight off most all the viruses and bacteria like staph and HIV that afflict us humans. Another name for leukocytes are these that contain antibodies that fight off bacteria and viruses.
White blood cells.
White blood cells, absolutely right. All right, 3 more questions for you in the opening round. Well, inspiration is something that causes you to try harder to reach your goal. I'm sure you have been inspired by people to be on the Science Bowl today. Well, inspiration is something that causes you to try harder to reach a goal. The act of inspiration is another way of saying that you're doing this.
Inspiring.
Actually, breathing in, inspiration, and respiration, exhalation. So inspiration is another way of saying breathing in. Good try. 15 points for body systems. Instead of injections, the next generation of COVID vaccines will likely be administered these 2 ways, making it easier to reach more people and guaranteed pain-free. Most everyone is getting injections now, the Moderna and the Pfizer and the J&J, but the next generation of vaccines will probably be less painful and easier to give, easier to reach more people. Can you give me those 2 options?
Pills and liquid.
Pills is one, the other is nasal sprays. Nasal sprays. Sometimes they give flu vaccines that way as a nasal spray. For 25 points in body systems. Well, most people are worried that they have too much of this C, as in cat, C initial fat in their bodies. The HDL version is a good kind, and especially good for your liver. Guys, down here, let's see, Alonzo and Kirk, we're not hearing much from you at all. Do you have any ideas here?
Can you repeat the question?
I certainly can. Well, most people are worried that they have too much of this C initial kind of fat in their bodies. The HDL version of that fat is actually a good kind, and especially good for your liver?
Cholesterol.
That's it, cholesterol. That's what I wanted to hear. That's the way to end that round with those 25 points. Good answer. All right, Samuel Ogle, you end that first round with 140 points, a very respectable showing there. Nice work, guys, and we'll be back with you for the second round just a few minutes. Good going. It's now time to welcome back that team from Charles Carroll. What a great first round they had. They're sitting right now at 170 points. They're going to add to that tally in a moment, but should you have missed them the first time they were on the show, let's reintroduce them to you. Three great, outstanding students here, all eighth graders. Let's start with their captain, and that's Kevin. Kevin, nice to have you back. You guys seem to be finishing each other's thoughts. Have you been working hard as a team before you came on the program today?
Yeah, we've been working a lot. I mean, we've been friends for a while, so that also helps. But overall, yeah.
Boy, does it ever. Yeah, BFFs, and if you're all there, you're probably finishing each other's sentences, and you're thinking about the same things at the same time. One of the great benefits of friendship. You told me before of your career aspirations. Share it with the audience today again, if you would.
I want to be an astronomer or cosmologist. I'm really fascinated by anything space-related.
Yes, absolutely. Do you have a favorite astronomer, someone that you've read about and thought how groundbreaking his or her work was?
It's not an astronomer, but astrophysicist, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
You took the words out of my mouth. He is a rock star. I've seen him everywhere, and not only is he a great entertainer, but he is a whip-smart astrophysicist. And yes, I've seen him on TV many times, and that's a great role model for you, and I can see you following in his footsteps. Let's talk to your teammates here. Let's bring up Omar. Omar is new to the program. Omar, why'd you want to be on the Science Bowl? We're glad you're here. Tell us why you wanted to do it.
I was actually in the Science Bowl between 5th and 6th grade.
Wow, what school?
I was in Beacon Heights. It was still PGCPS.
Ah, yes. Was Mr. Brown your coach?
Yeah.
Mr. Martin Brown, and he is as enthused as anybody can be about science. Well, he'd be very proud to see you here today. What are you thinking about doing someday, Omar?
I want to be an author, but like I know an author is kind of like a hobby, so I might also be a video game designer.
Well, another creative thing, and some authors, of course, like the J.K. Rowling, you know, that can be very lucrative if you come up with a great series that everyone just can't wait to turn the pages of. Good to have you here today. Good luck in the second half. Last member of the team is Jason. Last and certainly not least, Jason, you play such a great game, and you're so well spoken. Tell us where you come by all your science knowledge.
I get my science knowledge from my teacher, and whenever I listen to topics, I tend to search up the topic so I can understand it more thoroughly, and it really helps.
Absolutely. You know, the great boon of these times is to have a Wikipedia at the ready, you know, just as we used to have dictionaries, and you can always follow up. And, you know, one of the students many years ago that won on the Science Bowl here, his favorite hobby was reading the dictionary, and it certainly comes in handy. Thank you for that, and tell us again what you want to do someday.
I want to be a web developer or a software engineer.
Software engineer. One of the careers of the moment, and it's going to have staying power. Good luck in the second half, Jason. Again, you have 170 points at this juncture. 3 categories left. Let's Get Physical, Science, Potpourri, and Dateline. Let's do the first 3 questions. Here's Let's Get Physical for 5 points. Of all the planets in our solar system, the only 2 that cannot be seen with the naked eye are these. We have an astronomer here, an aspiring astronomer. He probably knows this. Not to put you on the spot. Of all the planets in our solar system, the only 2 that cannot be seen with the naked eye are these.
Uranus and Neptune.
Absolutely, the farthest out there. Nice job there, Kevin. Let's go on to the 15-point question. If you pour acetic acid onto sedimentary rock, like limestone, bubbles will appear, indicating the presence of calcium carbonate. Chances are you have some acetic acid in your kitchen, since it is often used to make salad dressing and is better known as this.
Vinegar, right?
Yeah.
Vinegar.
It is indeed vinegar. Next question, 25 points. Let's get physical. The leaders of the desert nation of the United Arab Emirates, where it rains just 4 inches a year, are using drones to zap clouds to get giant, large raindrops, and are also considering building an artificial mountain so that moisture-filled air will do this as it rises up the side of the mountain and cools.
What do we think?
Condensation?
Condensate or freeze?
I think it's condensation.
Condensate?
It is condensation. It will condense. Absolutely right. Potpourri for 5 points. Beatrix Potter, who wrote the Peter Rabbit stories, wanted to grow up to be a mycologist, mycologist, a scientific specialty that excluded women at the time and involved studying these plant-like organisms that lack chlorophyll, prefer the dark, and can even grow between your toes.
Fungus.
Well, fungus, right? Like feet fungus?
Yeah.
Fungus.
Fungus, that's right. Mycology is the study of fungi. For 15 points in potpourri. Oxpecker birds perform a service for many African animals, removing ticks and parasites that the animals themselves can't reach. The birds, of course, get a tasty meal in the bargain. What kind of S-initialed relationship describes where both species benefit?
Symbiosis.
Symbiosis. I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
I think both would be fine.
Symbiosis or
Symbiosis. You did pronounce it correctly. Nicely done. Thank you all for Jason and Omar for weighing in. You guys are a fearsome threesome. 25 points, potpourri. Look at the monitor, please. A visual question. These Dr. Seuss-looking trees, called Joshua trees, are found in the Mojave Desert in California's Joshua Tree National Park. But tree is not quite right. It's a misnomer. These Joshua trees, like cacti, can store large amounts of water, but lack the deep taproots found in real trees. Therefore, they are known by this S-initialed name, which is the same word that can describe something that is juicy and tasty.
Succulent. Succulent.
It is a succulent. Indeed it is. Here's Dateline for 5 points. In addition to his daring experiments with electricity, this American statesman invented bifocal glasses and swim fins.
Wait.
Repeat the question, please.
In addition to his daring experiments with electricity, this American statesman also invented bifocal glasses and swim fins.
Benjamin Franklin.
It is indeed Benjamin Franklin. Next, an interesting question for 15 points in Dateline. On a long-forgotten wax statue sculpted by Michelangelo, scientists think they may have found one of these unique marks that before the discovery of DNA was the best way to identify a person.
What do you guys think?
Repeat the question.
Repeat the question, please.
On a long-forgotten wax statue sculpted by Michelangelo, scientists think they may have found one of these unique marks that before the discovery of DNA was the best way to identify a person.
So since this is art, wouldn't it be like fingerprints?
Yeah.
Fingerprints?
Fingerprints it is, indeed. Last question of the game for you, Dateline for 25, is a multiple choice question. The word vaccination comes from the Latin word vacca, V-A-C-C-A, meaning cow, a reference to this man's discovery that milkmaids had an immunity to smallpox, a disease for which he discovered the world's first vaccine. Was he Louis Pasteur, Edward Jenner, or Joseph Lister, the developer of the first smallpox vaccine?
Not Joseph Lister, because Listerine, you know that. Repeat the choices.
The choices are Louis Pasteur, Edward Jenner, or Joseph Lister.
Louis Pasteur's the pasteurization, so I think it's Edward Jenner.
what do you guys, Edward Jenner? Yeah, I think so. Edward Jenner.
Edward Jenner is correct. You got those 25 points, and I think that is as close to a perfect game as we have had. That's the way to do it, guys. All your hard work is paying off. 305 points. We broke the clock. Guys, terrific work. Let's see if that holds up. We'll see you all in just a couple minutes. It's now time to meet the members of the team from Samuel Ogle. You've seen them before in another show if you watched it, and you've watched them as they distinguish themselves in the first round. Let's see how well they do in the second round. But before that, a few personal questions. Let's find out about all these three outstanding players here. Let's go first to Shavoy, who is the captain of the team. And Shavoy, you are a poster child for how to prepare for Science Bowl, because you just seem to have done everything right. You have an obvious curiosity about the world. Do you read a lot?
Yeah. Usually whenever I don't know things, I usually like to look it up, so it comes a lot with reading, things like that.
Yeah, that's right. If you go through life and you're constantly trying to figure out why things do what they do and why they're called what they're called, and you're going to stay on top of things, and you're going to have a successful life. Speaking of a successful life, you told us earlier what your aspirations were. Could you repeat them again for the audience?
When I get a little bit older, I might want to go into the field of marine biology. And because I really like animals, especially marine animals, because we don't really know that much about things in the ocean, and I want to know more.
It's a vast unknown out there. Have you been snorkeling or scuba diving ever?
No, never.
We have to get you to do that, get you that opportunity, because even if you just snorkel and you can look down and you can see what that other world is like down there, yeah, marine biology is just a fascinating thing. And, for me, it started watching Flipper, which was all about a dolphin and that befriended a family. And, it's just, there's so much we don't know. Good to have you back, young man. Good luck in the second half here. Let's talk to your teammates. Let's go to Alonzo. Alonzo, you've been on our show before. You were here in elementary school. Does it seem the same? Is it easier, tougher? What do you think?
I feel like it's a little different because instead of answering the same questions and whoever buzzes faster gets to answer, it's more like you get the same set of questions and it's more fair.
Well, yes. Now, of course, the questions, yes, everybody gets the same questions, but we're trying to make them of equal difficulty here. And boy, do we ever miss having you guys here in the studio with those buzzers and having that traditional competition. Once this pandemic is over, and it will be over at some point, we'll be able to get you back in here. What do you do in your spare time?
In my spare time, I play a lot of video games.
Yeah, sound like a typical young guy to me. And when you get older, what do you want to do?
Well, I don't really know too much about what I want to do, but currently one of my hobbies is playing instruments. So I think I might want to go into a profession about music.
Yeah, you told me you played, was it the alto saxophone?
Yeah, and the baritone.
And the baritone, yes. So, yeah, music is a great way to enliven your life, and if you can make it your profession, even better. Nice to have you with us. Let's talk to your other teammate, Carrick. Carrick, you're here today, and tell me about what you do in your spare time.
Shit. All right, can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, I was just asking what you do in your spare time.
Oh, I like to play video games a lot.
Yeah, that's like I say, that's what you do when you're this age and even when you're older than that. Can you tip your screen just a little bit? I'm seeing this big white screen. There, that's better. We want to see more of you. Tell me about what it is that you like about the Science Bowl. We hope you like it.
I really like just being able to use my knowledge in a fair playing ground. And
Isn't that
just being in a competition is really fun.
Absolutely. And the pandemic has kept some of those competitions from happening, some of the sports, but slowly but surely they're coming back, and that's why we wanted to do this online. Even though we can't have you in the studio, we're trying to preserve that competitive opportunity for you. When you get older, What do you want to do? Do you want to design video games, maybe?
No, I want to be a neuropsychologist.
I remember you telling me that once before. Where'd you get interested in? How'd you get interested in that?
We had a project for my history class, and we had to choose what career we would like to look into, and I chose neuropsychology, and it was actually really cool.
Right. And you told me that there's so many problems in the world today in the brain, people having depression and all kinds of difficulties, and what you do and what people in that profession do can be enlightening and perhaps make the world maybe just a better place. We all want to do that, don't we? Good luck in the second half here. All right, we're going to get into your Let's Get Physical questions here. We have 3 of them for you. Here's Let's Get Physical for 5 points. You have 140 points. Let's see if you can add to that tally. Even though it's bad smelling, poisonous, and irritating to the eyes and nose, this chemical element is the standard for purifying water, including that used in swimming pools.
Chlorine.
Chlorine is right. Yes, it is. For 15 points. When baking cookies, a chemical reaction takes place as the baking soda you added, which is an alkaline substance, reacts with this kind of substance in the dough and causes the formation of CO2, the gas that makes the cookies rise. The baking soda, the alkaline substance that reacts with this kind of substance in the dough that causes the carbon dioxide to form and thus the cookies to rise. Alonzo and Kirik, you're not offering anything. What do you think, guys? Does that ring a bell with either of you?
I think it's a
Correct answer here is acid. Acid. The acid and the base join together and they produce the bubbles, the carbon dioxide bubbles there. Let's go to 25 points and let's get physical. Those, you've seen them, the tiny packets of silica gel. Sometimes you find them in bottles of pills, silicon dioxide they are. You find them in bottles of medicine, beef jerky packages, or new shoes. Those packets are called desiccants. Desiccants, because they are designed to do what?
Absorb moisture.
Absorb moisture, absolutely right, good. Got yourself those 25 points. Let's go on to potpourri for 5 points. This is a multiple choice question. Among the different models of Hyundai automobiles, is one name for this charged atomic particle? Is it the isotope, the isomer, or the ion?
Ion.
Ion is correct, yes indeed. 15 points in potpourri. Once the COVID pandemic ends, the COVID virus will remain in the human population, but it will sicken and kill far fewer people, much like the flu virus does. Will it become which of the following? Will it become epidemic, endemic, or academic at that point?
Endemic.
Say it again, please.
Endemic.
Endemic is correct, yes. We have a picture for you, 25 points in potpourri. Let's have a look. Starfish and sea urchins belong to a group of sea creatures known as echinoderms. Echinoderms means spiked what?
Spiked skin.
It means spiked?
Skin.
Skin is right, yes. Good answer. You got yourself 25 points. Let's go to Dateline for 5. The radioactive chemical element with the symbol NO, capital N, small o, was named for what discoverer of dynamite and the founder of science's most prestigious prizes?
Nobel.
Nobel is correct. The Nobel Prizes, yes indeed. All right, Dateline for 15. The Delta variant of the COVID virus came about as the virus continued to do this, a process of altering its DNA.
Evolve.
Not evolve, mutate. It would mutate. It would mutate. All right, last question for you in the game is the dateline for 25 points. Multiple choice. While Einstein thought that Galileo was the father of science, another contender would be this Greek, known for yelling Eureka, for discovering that water's volume is displaced when sitting in a bathtub. Was that Aristotle, Agamemnon, or Archimedes?
Archimedes.
It was Archimedes. He ran naked through the streets yelling Eureka. I'm sure the people in Greece had much to say about him. Great ground there. All right, you end the game with 245 points, a terrific game. We hope you enjoyed today's game at home as much as we did here in the studio, watching near perfection today as these students who prepared well demonstrated that they are the savviest of science students in all of our schools. We had a very close game here today, as you witnessed, and I wonder how many of those questions you got right and then learned what the real answer was when you heard it from these young people here today. Would like to thank our principals. Mr. Millspaw is here from Samuel Ogle. Mr. Hendershot from Charles Carroll. With Karen Pumphrey, Miss Pumphrey from Samuel Ogle, a coach of longstanding, always send us exceptional students as we have here today. And Miss Chaudhary, who's been sending us teams for the past number of years, has been working hard, and she really saw the fruits of her benefit of all of her work today with this wonderful team. Our final tally today is Samuel Ogle 245, Charles Carroll 305. Charles Carroll, congratulations. We're going to see you in the semifinals, and your science chairperson, doctor, is here as well. Very happy, and she is jumping out of her chair. Almost there. Thank you all for being with us, and I hope you'll come back and play our game again and feel good about what you did here today. Because win, lose, draw, the fact that you're on the show means you're a winner already. And the fact that your schools chose you to represent them as ambassadors says everything. So you're doing everything right. So continue to do that. Know that we at Science Bowl are proud of you, and we hope to see you back here on our show again. Bye-bye, everybody. We'll see you next time on the Science Bowl. Bye-bye.